Good morning, Agents of Nothing, and welcome to our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. We're your commanding officers. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Caroline.
And today we're going to be talking about Season 5, Episode 3, A Life Spent.
Yeah.
Editing Mariah here. Just wanted to say that the vacation that we talk about in this segment did not end up happening for the exact reasons that we talk about in this segment.
So Mariah, how was your week?
It was good. Nothing like super exciting happened, but something exciting will be happening.
Will happen?
Yes, as of recording, and if the entire South doesn't freeze over, I will be visiting Caroline next weekend.
Yeah!
It will have already happened by the time this comes out.
So we had a great time.
Yeah, we had a great time. You will have already seen the surprise that we're planning. Mm-hmm. Most likely. It'll be on Instagram. Go check it out.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it on our exclusive next time. So
yeah, and if you see...
subscribe.
If you see pictures of snow on, Thursday of last week, and you don't see any pictures of us together, then it didn't happen.
Yeah. So, look at last week. Pay attention.
Anyway, how was your week?
As we said, Mariah is coming next weekend. My mom is actually coming this weekend. She'll be here an hour after we finish recording this. So January is a busy month for me.
Yeah.
I am in demand. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I'm so excited, dude. I'm so excited to see you.
Me too.
I'm really, really hoping that the freeze comes Tuesday and then goes.
Yeah.
Without incident.
The weather said that it's supposed to snow on Monday and Tuesday and then just be cold the rest of the week, but not necessarily precipitate.
Frozen.
So
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the roads are closed or some shit.
Yeah. Keep you posted.
Okay. Anyways. So do you want to get started?
Yeah. It seemed like the fun facts were a little
very
lacking.
Sparse.
Yeah.
Very, very sparse. There was not a Wikipedia page once again.
Damn.
I'm really hoping that's not the case for the whole season. That would really suck.
It'd be pretty dry.
I'm doing my best.
We got you. We believe in you.
All right. Well, this episode was written by Nora Zuckerman and Leela Zuckerman, the sisters, and directed by Kevin Hooks.
Cool. So we meet several new characters in this episode. Most of them suck. Zev sucks. Abby, she doesn't suck, but she's just all about transparency, I guess.
Exactly.
Ty, as in Ty should die. And then Sonara, as for her, you'll see. I also thought that somebody else was called that at the beginning, so
yeah, I wrote in a correction and then deleted it once you realized.
Yeah, I realized halfway through the episode. Anyway, so here we go. So we start off with Simmons watching Cassius's foreign dignitary Sonara, not Sonara, arrive.
And it's not even Cassius's. It's the Lady Basha's ambassador or whatever.
Yep. A foreign dignitary arrives, and their name is not Sonara. They do look more human than Kree, except that they have really big red eyes. So I don't know what kind of alien they are. But he is here to tell Cassius that his boss, Lady Basha, does not want to dine with them, but she will be present for the ceremony later. And, Cassius is pissed. And the second that the dignitary leaves, he starts breaking glasses. With all the martinis that he made.
All the martinis.
But then Scary Spice Cree, whose actual name is Sonara, but we'll keep calling her Scary Spice, tells him about a problem that he wants Gemma to fix. So, Coulson, Mac, and Elena are all working hard in Grill's whatever kind of place this is. We end up just calling it salvage, because it's not really a yard, and that's what I was like, what I felt like I should say.
My understanding of it, or at least this was like my headcanon while watching it and like piecing together like what they were doing, trying to make sense of it. Mm-hmm. Since it's called salvage, I imagine what they're doing is like getting pieces of metal from space, like from the destroyed Earth, and then they like salvage that and reuse it and like make the Kree's gadgets and shit, you know? Like,
that makes sense. Yeah. I just didn't know what to call the actual place.
Yeah.
I think eventually I just started saying salvage. But like, anyway, it doesn't matter. Whatever the place, they're doing things. Coulson is moving a barrel and someone else is doing something with rocks, just like sorting rocks. So, whatever. Coulson says that trusting Grill may have been the wrong move. This is what we call an understatement, no? Tell me about it, Yo-Yo. Coulson is trying to read through Virgil's secret notebook whenever he can duck down for a second, and yet Yo-Yo is the one who keeps getting zapped by Grill's overseer for not working hard enough. Fucking rude.
Misogyny is obviously still alive and well in whatever fucking year this is.
Clearly. Mac takes a rusty pipe and makes like he's gonna rush the office and attack Grill and the overseer, which, honestly, valid. But the door is rigged, obviously, and his metric gets caught like a magnet. But as Mac explains to Yo-Yo when she tells him how stupid that was, he was really just trying to get a look into the office. And so he saw where Grill put the iPad scroll that might tell them where Simmons is. So Daisy and Deke are back in the real world and looking for her friends. Deke was expecting to argue a little more about the fact that Quake caused the end of the world, but Daisy doesn't feel like she needs to talk about it because she hasn't done that yet. This leads to like a slight mansplanation of the multiverse theory, and so Daisy slaps Deke and says, "Did that happen in your universe or mine?"
Valid. He was talking... Okay, so I'll say this later. She was kind of ticking me off, like in this episode, but that was valid. Yeah. That he was talking down to her, and he deserved to get slapped.
Yeah. Honestly, she and Mac are so funny this season so far. But also, yes, they were both pissing me off this episode. Anyway, then Deke sees Shoe Guy, whoever the fuck that is, and finds out that there was a renewal and 3 people died. He advises Daisy to start looking for her friends at Grill's salvage, whatever. At the salvage grill. That's what I'll call it. Speaking of, Tess and May are just arriving at salvage and end up convincing Grill to let them take Coulson and Mac to a trawler with them. Scary Spice brings Simmons to a hallway and then unmutes her ears. And then they go into this bedroom where a girl is apparently seizing while sitting on her bed, and a guy, I thought it was her dad at first, it is not, says that she's doing this to herself and that she's Simmons' problem now. And then as he and Scary Spice leave the room, the girl settles some and is able to talk. And Simmons finds out that her name is Abby and she's inhuman. And she's been having these seizures since Pterogenesis, but she doesn't know what she's going to do if she can't get them under control before the ceremony. The ceremony.
The ceremony. Yeah, this was one of the episodes where I was kind of like, I feel like Caroline is going to be confused at first until she's not.
Well, it was cool because it was like, it was a good, I feel like they did a good job of like making you wonder and like want to learn more. They're like, oh, it's this thing that's going to happen and it's really important, but you don't know what it is yet.
Yeah. And then it ends up being awful.
Terrible. The worst. Daisy has found Yo-Yo in salvage, and they talk as much as they can without Daisy being seen and without Yo-Yo getting in trouble again. And Yo-Yo says that she would go with Daisy, but the iPad that they stole from the Kree guards is still in Grill's office, so she has to find a way to steal it back. Then Daisy will use it to find Simmons. Yo-Yo gets yelled at again for being slow again. This guy was pissing me off.
Yeah.
Everybody's pissing me off. Grill says that he always thought that Virgil was skimming off of whatever he brought in, whatever Virgil brought in for Grill. And so now that Virgil is dead and there's these 3 new people, he thinks that they are taking over Virgil's operation. So he sends his overseer to go keep an eye on them and find out. And this is where everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Tess kicks a kid named Flint out of the trawler garage, I guess, is what it is. No idea if he's going to come into play later or if this was just like, Tess is a nice person and she let this kid crash in her garage. But whatever.
Yeah. Can't tell you.
Serves both purposes, I guess. Coulson has found something in Virgil's notebook. Virgil apparently was keeping track of things in the sky, including a very large piece of Earth called 616. And isn't that our Earth in the multiverse?
Good job. The reason of Earth named in Virgil's notebook is 616. Earth 616 is the reality designation for the main Marvel universe in the comics.
Hey, look at me catching references.
Look at you.
Coulson says that they need to go there to see why it was so important to Virgil. And Max says, I'd rather not go where no one can hear you scream, but sure. And that's what I'm saying. This is why I'm scared of space.
Mac comments that he does not want to die where no one can hear him scream. This is a reference to the tagline of the 1979 film Alien. In space, no one can hear you scream.
Which is awful and terrifying. Tess starts to say that she won't go with them because she owes a double load now and can't afford the time for a side mission. But Coulson says, this is the mission. This is what Virgil, her friend, died for. So she changes her mind, decides to go with them. But as they're still discussing, the overseer arrives and he says, see how y'all just got real quiet? That's why I'm coming with you. Like he wasn't going to come with them anyway.
I know, right?
Please.
I've always hated that, like, because I've had that sort of thing happen with authority figures before. I'm like, no, we got quiet because you're an authority figure and we're fucking scared of you.
Yeah.
Like,
even if we were not doing something wrong, like, we also would have gotten quiet.
yeah, like, also, we don't like you.
I don't want to have conversations with you. I don't want you to join this conversation. So Simmons learns more about Abby. the guy who was just in there with her is not her father, but his name is Ty, and I guess he trains new Inhumans on how to master their powers. Although he's clearly not very good at that.
I said Treely.
Treely.
It's a combination of truly and really. Treely.
Abby's power is being able to change her molecular density at will. Well, would be at will. Sometimes she can pass through solid objects, and sometimes she's as solid as lead. But she's struggling to control it, and the pressure of this impending ceremony is not helping, clearly. She says that she was told her family would be rewarded because of her being inhuman, but if she can't perform, then Ty says that her family will be punished. Which sucks. They didn't do or not do anything.
Yeah, this is such a terrible world. It's like the writers were like, what is the most awful, like, society that you can possibly fucking imagine? And what if we did that?
Let's just do that instead. Abby also says that if she can get past this, then she'll be dispatched to other planets and galaxies as an ambassador and get to go on grand adventures. And I somehow doubt it will be that glamorous, even if they don't just kill her. And I would bet that her family is already dead too, honestly. I don't know, but I'm assuming that they're already gone.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like maybe the thing about, like, being rewarded if she succeeds is true. But definitely the thing about them being punished if she doesn't succeed.
For sure.
Sure. Yeah. But, like, I was going to say a third thing, but I forgot.
I wonder if maybe, like, them being rewarded was them just being, like, a servant like Simmons is.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah. The third thing that I was going to say is that there is a possibility, because death is so random in that place, there's a possibility that, yeah, they could have been like, killed in a renewal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many possibilities. Anyway, so Simmons agrees to help her.
I do wonder, well, at this point, I was wondering, they explain it kind of later, but I was wondering why they singled out Simmons to help, because, like, they had no way to know that she was, like, a doctor, or, you know, had experience with Inhumans before.
Yeah, right. I guess just because she started to heal that guy's gunshot or stab wound.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, she can heal. Anyway, so Coulson joins May in the cockpit of the trawler, and I guess their load is just collecting pieces of rock in the, like, big open mouth of the ship. Coulson confirms that Mac is keeping Zev, which is the overseer's name, busy. And Coulson asks how May's leg is doing, and she just says, I'm not gonna lie. And then doesn't say anything else. So she won't tell the truth either, but that's about as close of an admission as we're gonna get from May. And Coulson knows that it must be hurting really bad. Yeah. Oh my god, I can't even.
How does it not get infected in that place? Like,
I know. Nobody's clean.
I mean,
there.
It's been like less than 24 hours.
True.
So.
True. Anyway. Coulson is trying to manage expectations and not get his hopes up that they'll even find a way back home. He says that maybe their destiny is to have ended up here to help these people. And May says that she wants to help them, but after everything they've been through, little reminder, they were in the framework less than 24 hours before they arrived here, and they've only been here for like less than a day. And then May was in the framework for even longer than everyone else. So after everything, May says she deserves a night in her own bed. I think she deserves like a month straight in her own bed. Like, please give these people a break. Grill is trying to eat his soup in peace while he watches his indentured slaves work from his metric tracker. But it keeps alerting him that Yo-Yo is out of bounds. And then, like, fucking spinning out all over the place. But every time he looks up, she's back at her box. He finally has enough and goes over to replace her metric, thinking that it's broken. While he takes off the top part to replace it, she yo-yos into his office, grabs the scroll, and hands it off to Daisy down the hall through a mail slot. This was a long-ass heartbeat, y'all.
That's that shield training. She knows how to slow her heartbeat down now.
Anyway, then she bounces back to her spot to offer Grill a polite smile before he replaces her metric. Incredible. This was perfectly executed.
No notes.
Tess comes back up to the cockpit of the trawler to let them know that Zev hasn't noticed that they're off course yet because he's so busy yelling at Mac. And while they're looking at what's left of Earth, Tess pulls out the little globe from Virgil's room. She says he refused to ever fly without it, would even delay an excursion by as much as an hour in order to go get it from his room. She thought that he was just superstitious, but Coulson cracks it open, and inside is the missing knob to a cabinet behind them. Coulson opens it and finds a radio. Virgil was communicating with someone. Was it Fitz? Maybe. But before they can explore further, they get busted. Zev traps them all by their metric magnets, which I realized at this point was Shield Tech 2, because when Daisy went to Shield headquarters for the first time, she got caught by her wrist.
Oh yeah, with that like
thing.
bracelet thing.
Yeah.
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 Everything is connected. It's all connected.
It's all coming together. While the team is trapped to the wall, May swerves the trawler around, throwing Zev off balance until he drops his controller, and then Tess and Coulson try to fight him for it as best they can while literally trapped. But Matt comes in and finishes it, since he's the only one not flailing around like hungry hippos. And then Tess starts panicking. They've attacked a superior, so when they go back, they are all going to be dead.
Yikes.
Simmons and Abby are still sitting on the floor, trying to get Abby's hand to go through a glass pitcher. She's still struggling, and in her frustration, she punches the floor and cracks the marble like her hand is a sledgehammer. Simmons says this is a good thing. This means that she's powerful. Sorry if there's dog noises in the background. But Abby says she's only powerful if she can control it. Simmons tells her to think of herself as a galaxy. The protons, neutrons, and electrons in her body are the stars. And Abby is special because she can control the space between those stars. So Abby considers this and then tries again, and it works. And she is able to hold it for several seconds. And then the pitcher explodes as her hand goes dense again. And this is just as Ty, Cassius, and Scary Spice come in. And maybe she could have held it longer, but then she just felt their awful energy intruding on her space.
Yeah.
Simmons tries to ask for more time, but Cassius refuses and tells Ty to take her away. Simmons calls out encouragement to Abby as she's led out the room, and then she tries to argue again, but Cassius mutes her once again. He turns to Scary Spice and asks if she was trying to set Simmons up to fail because he thinks she's pretty. And I guess she telepathically tells him that she just wanted him to be happy, or if he just guessed that.
I feel like he just guessed that. She's a woman of not very many words, and he likes to talk to himself.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if you noticed, like, earlier in the episode, like, in the beginning of the episode, he's talking in the mirror, and he's obviously talking to himself, because none of his servants can hear him. Like, they're all muted. And he's like, the print is very nice. Like...
Right. I forgot that nobody can hear. He just loves the sound of his own voice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he just assumes that Scary Spice just wanted him to be happy then. And then he asks what makes Simmons different than everybody else. What makes her able to help Abby? And Scary Spice simply says, compassion. Oh!
Oh, that's why.
Oh, duh. Obviously.
And she spits the word out with such disgust.
Such venom.
Compassion.
Daisy runs into Deke as she's walking with purpose down the hallway. And he sees the scroll in her hand and says that she's acting rashly and needs to slow down and think big picture. He says if she can take some time, he can get her a meeting invite from the big man himself. He says that the route she's taking could have serious blowback on everyone else. And tomorrow, there could be a renewal for 30 people in retaliation. Daisy says that that's all the more reason for her to act now to find and save Simmons, since death comes so easy here.
It's really, really, like... I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I see where she's coming from. But, like, once you do save Simmons...
But they're being so selfish.
Yeah. Like, there are other people here. And
this
also,
is the last of humanity.
Also,
any wrong move you make could result in extinction.
Truly, yeah. And then even, like... Okay, so say you do find Simmons and you get her away from Cassius. Where are you taking her?
Exactly.
Where are you going to go? You're still stuck in this place.
They're really not thinking it through.
And, like, you have people that are willing to help you. So let them help you. God.
They're not listening to the experts here.
No, not at all. Anyway, so she tries to, like, brush past him, and he grabs her arm, but she quakes him into the wall. Gently. And he's shocked for a second, and I think maybe a little starstruck, but then he goes, so there she is, Quake, destroyer of worlds. And then she gets on her elevator, and as the doors close, she tells him, don't ever call me that again. Okay. It's what you're acting like, but whatever. In the trawler, Zev's still out cold. Tess is floating the idea of throwing Zev's body out into space with the load and saying that it was an accident. And she repeats the lighthouse catchphrase, a life spent is a life earned. Honestly, it would have been a foolproof plan. But
yeah.
As they're arguing over that and the morality of killing, the morality of Tess killing that guy with a shotgun in order to save May's life, Coulson hears something coming from the radio. It's a transmission, and it sounds to me like a very garbled Scottish accent. And they realize that it must be coming from the Earth's surface and bouncing off of Rock 616. Lady Basha has arrived for the ceremony, And Simmons still doesn't know what's going on, but is forced to watch from the balcony with Cassius, Basha, and the other Kree.
I feel like in reality, Simmons would not be there at the ceremony. Like, she was the only servant that was
Why was she there? The only reason that she would be there is because they thought that Abby was going to die, and they were trying to torture her.
Yeah, I think it was that.
I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I understand these people and their motivations.
They're aliens.
Right, not people. Anyway, so the ceremony is a fight to the death between Abby, the tiny, like, barely 18 inhuman girl, against a warrior man who's about 3 times her size and ripped.
I forgot to mention this, but that actress, I don't remember her name, but I know she was on Disney Channel.
Yes, I recognized her immediately, but I could not place her.
She wasn't the one on Dog with a Blog, was she?
No, I don't think so.
Like, I know the face, and I know she was on Disney Channel. There are actually a couple former Disney actors that make appearances on this show.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Love that. Anyway. Okay, so obviously it's a fair fight. The warrior guy walks in, circles Abby, and then just immediately starts throwing her around this metal arena. Everything in this arena is metal.
I know, like, and then she's bleeding so much by the end of it. I wonder how many, like, broken bones she has. Like, what the fuck?
Poor thing. Ugh. And he's just, like, beating the crap out of her. Simmons starts to protest, but Scary Spice silently threatens to use her death balls. So Simmons continues to watch in horror. Basha is disappointed that she's come all this way for a warrior and was presented with a little girl. And Cassius seems to insinuate that Simmons will die if Abby doesn't win. Because he says, so many lives we prize depend on her success. Back to Daisy. She finds the marijuana farm of the lighthouse. But unfortunately, she's just passing through. Abby manages to meet eyes with Simmons long enough for Simmons to mouth, "Think of the stars." And Basha calls for her warrior to give the final blow. So they just stand slowly and face each other for a long time. And then Abby turns to lead just as he's punching her in the stomach, or the chest. And so his entire arm just, like, shatters on the impact.
It was horrible to watch.
Awful.
This whole scene, oh my god.
So he, like, shatters his arm against her, and then he tries to reach for her with his other hand, and she puts her arm out to stop him, but it goes through his torso. So he stops to look at it, and then she hardens again with her arm inside him. And so he backs away. Stupid. That was the wrong move. He backs away, and her arm just, like, pulls out covered in blood and guts, and he just, like, keels over it, and it's disgusting.
And, like, a huge puddle of blood starts to, like, seep out from his body. Like, this show is so graphic.
It's awful. Ugh. But Basha is impressed, and Cassius looks relieved.
And I wanted to puke.
Valid. Back on the trawler, Zev has woken up, and he's, like, locked out of the cockpit. But he's still yelling at them through the video screen. I don't know why they didn't decide to, like, lock him in a place that would be, less dangerous for them.
Yeah, I guess they weren't thinking that, like, he had access to the fuel line.
I guess. Anyway, so while he's yelling at them through the video screen that they can't turn off, Coulson tries to make sense of the transmission that he recorded and or send one back. Mac and Tess are arguing again about dropping Zev out with the load, but Mac refuses to kill anyone or compromise his morals like that.
And again, I get it.
Yeah.
But he was really pissing me off in this scene. Like, she's telling you how things work here, and you won't even hear her out or believe her?
Right. Can this
Like, he
be a
straight up
conversation?
doesn't believe her.
Yeah. Like, sorry, this girl has been here her whole life.
Her whole life.
And you've been here for 5 minutes.
She was born into this.
Yeah. Poor Tess. But then the alarms start going off, and Zev has cut the fuel lines because he has access to that, apparently. So now they have to rush back to the lighthouse, or they'll all die out here stranded. Cassius and Basha make their way back through the lounge area, talking about how Terrans were such an unremarkable species, and how well Cassius has done with what little was available to him on this desolate little rock. And he catches all of Basha's backhanded compliments too, but manages to just barely control his face. Abby is brought in, and even though Simmons can't hear anything, she realizes that Abby is being sold to Basha. She tries to call out to Abby as she walks out, but Scary Spice stops her again. This is where I found out that Scary Spice's name is actually Sonara. Oops to the guy from earlier. But still going with Scary Spice. I like it. Cassius tells Simmons that, yes, he did sell Abby, and if it weren't for Simmons, he wouldn't have gotten nearly as high a price for her either. Ugh. Oof. Add that to the list of things that'll keep Simmons awake in the night for the rest of her life.
It's so awful because, like, the other option was her dying.
Right.
I mean, like, she'll probably still die fighting as a warrior while not having full control of her powers. But, like, still.
Yeah, absolutely.
Simmons just did her best.
She was put in an impossible situation. So Daisy finally makes her way through the garden level and then to the other elevator without a hitch. But of course, here comes a hitch. A Cree stops at the elevator before it closes and is like carrying a bushel of apples with him. Daisy manages to hide Matilda style in the skylight of the elevator. But then another Cree stops the elevator again to pull a wheeled cart of vegetables on as well. And this is a really slow elevator because it never leaves this floor. It doesn't even start. And Daisy's hands are slipping very fast. And so the scree here, the squeak against the wall. And Daisy goes, I really thought this would work. And then fight ensues, obviously. Daisy takes one of them out the old-fashioned way, but ends up having to quake the other one through a wall and breaks her scroll. Not nearly as stealth as she wanted to be.
No, that's kind of an understatement.
This is what we call an understatement, no? Grill is grilling the rest of the SHIELD team once they get back to salvage. He still thinks that they're trying to skim and steal from him, and so Tess tries to take the blame for that, saying that these people didn't even know Virgil, not like she did. So if anyone were trying to take over Virgil's operation, it would be her. Grill says something about contraband, and so while they're all talking, yo-yos, and then tells Grill that he should check Zev for contraband because she knows that he has a gun because he threatened her with it earlier.
And he probably threatened them, too.
Yeah. Grill searches him and finds the gun, to Zev's dismay. Coulson plays along and says that they didn't want to tell Grill this since Zev works so closely with him, but Grill says that he will report this himself to prove that to everyone that no one is above the law here. at least when you're being watched.
Yeah. And it's also, like, it's very smart because the gun was Grill's.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, so, like, Grill is, like, panicking because he could get in trouble, too. Mm-hmm. So now, because he found this gun in front of everyone, he has to report his, his second in command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. So smart. Yo-yo, always looking out.
Yo-yo!
Mac is looking at Elena like he's disappointed in her or something, since they know the consequence for having contraband is really bad, if not just death immediately. But
it was him or them.
Literally. Sorry she just saved you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Daisy has decided to throw all attempts at stealth out the window and just quakes a hole in the floor since the elevators aren't working anyway.
And this is the point where I said, Daisy, really? 2 out of however many agents are pissing me off in this episode.
Truly. So then she starts running through an empty hallway until suddenly glass walls come up in front of and behind her and gas starts pumping into the space. As she falls to her knees, Cassius, Scary Spice, and none other than fucking Deke himself walk up to her. Cassius says that he's not surprised often, but he is right now. He asks how Quake, Destroyer of Worlds, could possibly be here right now. And Deke says the important thing is that she's here and that he knows that Cassius will pay him fairly for bringing her to him. Sorry, there were so many pronouns in that sentence.
So many pronouns. Oh my god. Conservatives' worst nightmare.
Deke squats down closer to Daisy and Daisy says that she's gonna kill him. And he says he's just playing the long game. And, I want to hate him for that, but also, this could be some convoluted plan, He's kind of a shady guy. We don't know.
Could be. We don't know.
And he tried. He tried to tell her, I got an in. Anyway.
Oh, Daisy.
Oh, Daisy. So now it's time for the post-content content. We get a speed run of the post-content. I forgot what I put there.
PCC.
The PCC, aka the post-content content from the end of the last season. Coulson waking up in his room and looking out his window and then saying, "Okay, Phil, enough sightseeing. Back to work." He goes to join May, Mac, Yo-Yo, and Tess and offers for anyone else who needs to sleep to go take a shift. Yo-Yo says that Coulson has slept less than anyone else. But before they can make him go back to sleep, Mac finally gets the transmission to play clearly. And it's someone asking for Virgil to come in. They say that they haven't heard from Virgil for 3 days, and they're asking for confirmation that the delegation has arrived. Coulson says that the delegation is them and that someone on the surface must know who they are and why they're here. So they have to go to the surface. Tess says nothing can survive on the surface. That's where they send people to die. And then we see Zev on the surface, stumbling through the rubble and the sand before he gets attacked by roaches. And just because the gun was planted on doesn't mean that he deserved... just because the gun was planted on him doesn't mean he didn't deserve what was coming to him. Because...
Truly, yeah.
He was a dick for long before that.
I agree. So yeah. So that's the episode. Overall thoughts?
That's it. I am one... So, we're trying to figure out who's on the surface communicating. Is it Fitz? Is it Fitz's great-great-great-great-grandchild? I don't even know how far in the future this is. It could be 2026, We don't know.
We don't know. I'm just so excited for this season. I keep saying that, and the further we get into it, the more excited I get.
It's really good.
Because this season is just so juicy.
So juicy.
So much happens.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Well,
so good.
That concludes our episode on Season 5, Episode 3, A Life Spent.
Yeah.
Next time, we'll be covering Season 5, Episode 4, A Life Earned, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, bye.
Bye, love you.